What's up, my friends on Facebook? What's up, my friends on YouTube? I appreciate you guys being here for the double stream. It's time to revisit Florida, the great state of Florida, which is being smeared by the media again and by a lot of people. They're trying to say Florida is a deadly hotbed of COVID-19 because Ron DeSantis is trying to get kids out of masks and open up businesses, and he doesn't want to lock down again, and he wants to make vaccines optional. They're smearing Sweden, and Sweden. Apologize, Florida, and they're saying that it's a deadly hotbed. So I have some data right here. We're going to go over it in a little bit. But the first thing I want to go over, guys, is this meme. I know it's backwards on Facebook, but you can see right here is like a powerful medicine guy. And someone said Dr. Fauci. And this is the Grim Reaper, right? You got the sickle. Oh, my God, that's Ron DeSantis because he's killing people. This was by Grant Stern. I believe he is, let me look, the executive editor of Occupy Democrats, and he said, this Fauci and DeSantis meme is too good not to share, folks. This is just too good. Quality memeing here from Occupy Democrats. Ron DeSantis, the ghoul who's killing people, and Dr. Fauci, who's saving the world with his just strength and strong arm. So we're going to go over the data of what's really going on in Florida, what's really going on in other states, what the real death per capita data is. I have it right here. You can access it at worldometers.info or probably just Google. There's multiple ways that you can find all this data. It's pretty mainstream. And we have to talk about that because there's something very, very interesting about that meme, pretty much how it's backwards, but we're going to get into it. So thank you guys so much for being here. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. And God bless the world. So we have to revisit this because I've been talking about it for over a year now. For a year, they've been saying Florida, Texas, these states are the worst. They're opening up more. You know, they're conservative. They're run by Republicans, and they're not locking down as much as New York, New Jersey, California. So it's really, 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 really bad there, folks. And it's really not been true. And I've been studying the data. And most importantly, in my perspective and in a lot of people's perspective, is deaths per capita. So with the vaccine rollout, they're telling you, you don't believe, hold on, folks. Listen, I print out stuff now just so they can't say, oh, well, where are you getting that? So I show you exactly where I got it. Ready? This is Forbes right here. I know it's hard for you guys to see, but this is Forbes. You could look it up yourself. It says the fully vaccinated can transmit Delta variant just as easily. So if you got the vaccine, you can transmit Delta variant just as easily, says Forbes. And what's interesting about that is they're telling you the vaccine, well, you can still transmit it, you can still get it, but they're telling you it protects you more against severe illness and death. That's what they're telling you. So I would say counting cases is not that efficient, yet they want to do that for the rest of our lives. But we should really be looking at, and this is something that maybe me and these people can agree on, we should be counting deaths per capita, not how many cases you have, but how many people are dying per the area, you know, based on population size, scaling it so certain populated cities aren't at a disadvantage, et cetera. So that's what we're going to look at, deaths per capita. Real quick, thank you guys so much for being here. This is the meme real quick. I'm going to show you guys one more time, then we're going to start. It says Ron DeSantis, Dr. Fauci, Occupy Democrats said, you know, DeSantis is killing people. They're trying to push this narrative that he's killing people, and Dr. Fauci saving the world. So right here's the data for deaths per capita. I scaled it. I'm going to go in order. The first state with the most deaths per capita, which means deaths per, COVID deaths per population size scaled. So populated areas aren't at a disadvantage. New Jersey's number 1. New York is number 2. Massachusetts is number 3. In order to find Florida in deaths per capita, you could go to worldometers.info. They have the data. You can just search Google COVID deaths, United States. They have the mainstream data. It's all the same. They're all counting it. You have to scroll all the way down to 26. So out of 50 states, Florida is number 26. New Jersey's worse. New York is worse. Massachusetts worse. Rhode Island's worse. Mississippi's worse. Arizona, Louisiana, Alabama, Connecticut, South Dakota, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New Mexico, Indiana, Arkansas, Georgia, Illinois, North Dakota, Iowa, Nevada, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Delaware, Tennessee, even Texas is doing worse slightly. I mean, it's at that point, it's not really that severe, but Florida's not even top 25. They're actually in the bottom half of states doing well in deaths per capita. How come you never hear anything about New Jersey and the deaths per capita? Because they don't care, because the Democrats running it. How come you don't hear about beloved Cuomo? They don't talk about the nursing home scandal. They only talk about the sexual allegations. How come they don't say that New York in deaths per capita, as of the last data, is doing worse than Florida? They have 2,792 deaths per million population. Florida has 1,848. So this narrative that they're trying to push all over the place that, the Grim Reaper, Ron DeSantis, is killing people is just so provably false. It's been false the entire time. It was false last year. I made several videos about it. They fact-checked me in a stupid article, and they made up bullshit, even though I told the truth with the data. So this idea that Ron DeSantis is killing all these people in Florida, it's not only not true now, it's never been true. But they just won't stop saying that. And this is, like I said, don't listen to me. Don't listen to my channel. Go to anywhere that you find the data. Just Google it. You can go to 5-10 different websites. Make sure you put it by deaths per capita, because that's what matters, not total cases. Oh my God, India. Oh my God, India. There's all these cases. I'm going to go real quick. I have it on my computer, worldometers.info. Let's look where India is, because they fear-mongered about that because there's so many people in India. I believe there's like over 1 billion people in India. If you scale by deaths per 1 million population, which is, I think, the most important, deaths per capita, not just cases, you have to scroll down pretty far to even find India. They're still not even in the top 100. And you could do all this yourself, folks. They're number 114. So out of all the countries in the world that are giving their data, India's not even in the top 100, not even in the top 100 worst countries in deaths per capita, because they're counting cases in a place where there's a lot of people. But you need to look at, if you want to do these death memes, ooh, Ron DeSantis is killing people, you have to look at deaths per capita per population size. And Florida's not even in the top 25 worst states. They can't stop lying. What's the irony about this? Let's see if anybody knows. We'll point to it. So they got DeSantis with the hammer and sickle, and they got Dr. Fauci. If you reverse them, I have what Fauci actually means in Italian. This is very, very interesting. This is a Wikipedia. I mean, you just search Fauci. What does the name Fauci mean? This is from Ancestry.com. It says, Southern Italian, occupational name for sickle maker or someone who used a sickle, from Sicilian Fauci sickle. If you look up on Wikipedia, the surname Fauci, it says Fauci is an Italian surname. It is derived from the Sicilian word sickle. And it originated as an occupational surname referring to it. So literally, Fauci literally means sickle. So they're trying to say Ron DeSantis is killing people. He's not even in the top 25 worst states when it comes to death per capita. And that's what they're talking about, deaths. And Fauci literally means sickle. You can't make this crap up. Go to one of the data websites and look it up for yourself. Okay. So now that we know that Forbes is saying that fully vaccinated people can transmit the Delta variants, let's look at Israel, because Israel loves the vaccine. I mean, God bless my Israeli followers. We love everybody here. We love Israel and Palestine. I'm sorry if you're Palestinian, my bad. If you're Israeli, my bad. It's not my country. I love everybody over there. You might catch me at a dance party in Palestine. You might catch me at a dance party in Israel. That's just the type of guy I am. But anyway, shout out my Israeli followers. So they love the vaccine out there. Can't get enough of it. So this is, I know it's going to be tough to see, but I got the data. I'm just showing you guys. You can look it up for yourself. So today is August 7th, 2021. And in Israel, there were 4,221 cases today. How many were there last year with no vaccine? Before the vaccine was even out, there was 1,432 cases. You can't make this stuff up. Okay, so there's about 4 times, at least 3 times, I would say about 3 times as many cases now with the vaccine. I think they're around 60% fully vaccinated in Israel. Yet there's more cases. Well, what about deaths? Let's look at the deaths. I got the daily deaths charts right here. Once again, you could look that up. I got the data. So today's August 7th. There were 19 daily deaths according to worldometers.info. And I was looking on August 8th, which will be tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like. There were 12 deaths. I couldn't zoom in on the 7th for some reason. It kept going to 6, 8, 6, 8, 6. I was like, give me the 7th. But on August 8th, 2020, with no vaccine, There were 12 deaths, and now on August 7th, there's 19 deaths. I just find it interesting. I don't know. In Gibraltar, where they're nearly 100% vaccinated right now, I think they're over 99% vaccinated in Gibraltar. It's a smaller population, so they can vaccinate everybody. They're having more cases right now than they did last summer at the same time with no vaccine. So we know now, according to Forbes, that the fully vaccinated can transmit the Delta variant just as easily. They're telling us that even though you can get it or transmit it, it protects you against severe illness and death. Okay, if we're talking about death, let's look at the deaths per capita, right? Well, yeah, it doesn't, completely protect you, but it does from severe illness and death. Okay, then why do you keep saying that Florida's killing everybody when they're not even top 25 out of 50 states in deaths per capita? These people are like total liars. It's absolutely bananas. And I just want to show you something. It's a little off topic, but I do think it really explains what they're doing with science. So this is from January 8th, 2020. It's one of my favorite headlines ever. It says CNN. You could look it up yourself. Glacier National Park is replacing signs that predicted its glaciers would be gone by 2020. So for the last couple decades, or however long they had them, when you went to Glacier National Park, they would have scientific signs by the experts, the trusted experts in the government and at the agencies. They told you that Glacier National Park, wouldn't have glaciers anymore in 2020. So if I were to question that in 2010 or 2011 or 2012, and I would have said, hey, I think you're wrong. I think that the glaciers are still going to be there in 2020. You know what they would have called me? A conspiracy theorist, a science denier. These are the games they play. Pay attention, because what they do with climate change, they do with COVID-19. I'm not saying they're not real. I'm just saying, they're going to be like, well, what? Listen to what I'm saying. Okay, so if I would have told the truth back then and said they're going to be there in 2020, you're a science denier. The science is settled. They do the same thing with climate. The science is settled. You can't possibly question our science. It's settled. It's done. This has been decided by the experts and the consensus of the community. That's going to happen. So go to 2021. The glaciers are still there. They have to replace the signs because they lied. Now, when I say, hey, you lied to everybody, will they say the science is set? No, they'll say science evolves. Science evolves. It changes, and we change with the science. We were doing our best, and so it's settled when you lie, and when you get caught lying, then all of a sudden science evolves. Fauci does the same thing with COVID-19. Put on a mask, take off a mask. Put on a mask, take off a mask. Don't wear the mask. You fiddle with it. Oh, no, do wear the mask. You have to wear the mask. You could take the mask off if you get vaccinated. Actually, if you're vaccinated, you should put the mask back on. He flip-flops like a flip-flop, for lack of a better term. And then a year ago, you're not allowed to question him. A year ago, you get censored if you show a video of him from like February of 2020 saying that you shouldn't wear a mask. A year ago, you can't question the overlord Fauci because he doesn't make mistakes. A year ago, the science was settled. But as soon as it doesn't work, they say the science evolves. So the science doesn't settle. And I know a lot of people said this, including the Weather Channel founder, but science is not a popularity contest. I'll give you an example. Carrie Mullis invented the PCR test. You know that test they're jamming up your nose everywhere? They're shoving it up your nose, giving you positives and telling you can't fly, you can't play sports events, you can't go to school. The school's got to shut down because you're getting a PCR test. Carrie Mullis invented the PCR test. The scientific community didn't invent the PCR test. That's not how science works. DNA was discovered by Watson and Crick. It was not discovered by the scientific community, okay? Michael Jordan won 6 championships. Everybody in the NBA didn't win 6 championships. Do you get what I'm saying? Individuals and teams, a lot of times it's a scientific team like in a sport. That's what raises the bar, okay? It's not everybody. Everybody helps. We love everybody, but that's not how science works. Certain inventions, whether it was the airplane with the Wright brothers, it wasn't everybody. They probably said, you can't fly. You can't fly. It's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory that humans can fly. Birds fly. Owls fly. Owls are birds. You get what I'm saying. But humans don't fly until they do in a plane. So they're trying to brainwash people into thinking that you can't do anything, or you can't question the government and the top scientists, many of who are, you know, bureaucratic people like Fauci at this point. He's not like in the lab every day of his life like Kerry Mullis was. He's kind of like a bureaucratic government guy. You can't question them. They think we're so stupid. This is a New York Times. I'm gonna just read this. You could look all this stuff up. New York Times wrote this earlier this year. It says opinion. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. I'm going to read that again because this is how I hope people tune out. I don't care if you like Trump. I don't care if you hated Trump. I don't care if you voted Democrat. I don't care if you voted Republican. I don't care if you like Ron Paul. I don't care if you like Barack Obama. This is how stupid the mainstream media is hoping that you are, so they can continuously program you by repeating stupid crap over and over and over and over and over again, hoping that you fall for this and hoping that you love a politician or hate a politician so much that you're easy to manipulate. I'm going to read this headline again because this is just for all humans. This is not a racial or political thing. This is just straight up pathetic what the New York Times is doing. The headline says, "Don't go down the rabbit hole," and the subtitle says, critical thinking, which means actually using your brain. If you're a Republican, you should critically think. If you're a Democrat, you should critically think. If you go to a Trump rally, you should still critically think. If you go to a Turning Point USA event, you should still critically think. If you go to an Obama rally or the 5 people at a Hillary Clinton rally, whatever, you should still critically think. They're telling you in this New York Times, quote, critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping the fight against misinformation. Stop critical thinking, please, guys. Too many people are thinking for themselves. How dare you think? Just believe these stupid memes that Occupy Democrat post about Dr. Fauci being some sort of hero and Ron DeSantis being a murderer, even though if you look at the data, the official data in deaths per capita, Florida's not even top 25. New York and New Jersey are 1 and 2. And it's not because they're populated. I'm just telling you, folks, it's scaled for deaths per it's scaled per population size. And if you think it's a weather thing, well, it's really cold. It's really cold in New Jersey and New York, and it's really hot in Florida. That's actually a smart thought. But you can see I love Arizona, but Arizona's actually number 6 on the list, and Florida's not even top 25. So Arizona's really hot. Arizona doesn't have as many people traveling to Florida, but still, they're doing worse than deaths per capita. So it's not a weather thing. And I'm not even saying you should overhype and count everything all the time and freak out over Arizona, over New Jersey, New York. I don't care about any of that. I'm just saying this is the data. This is the deaths per capita scaled per population size. And Florida has way more incoming traffic than most of the states above it. And they want to brainwash you with these stupid memes and act like Ron DeSantis is killing people when there's 25 other states doing worse than him in deaths per capita. How come they don't talk about that? Isn't this crazy? I've never heard anybody else report this except for me. And I'm not saying I'm the only one. I hope other people are. I've just never heard it. I heard India, Delta, India. Everybody's dying in India. There's videos of people dying in India. Okay, so I go to the data. This is not my data. I'm not going to a conspiracy website. I'm going to the official data that you get wherever you go, that all the experts are looking at themselves. This is the official data. India, when you scale, this is how they get you. Well, look at all the cases in India. There's 30 million. Well, how many people are there in India, right? That would be like counting cases in New York City and acting like the cases in New York City should be the exact amount of cases as a rural place in South Dakota. That's disingenuous. That's why you scale deaths per population by the size of the population. There's a way to scale it per million people there. So, okay, there's so many cases. How many deaths per population? They're 114th. Almost the entire planet, as far as the data that they're giving us, are doing worse than India in deaths per capita. So this idea that everyone's dying all the time, well, they have more people. When you scale it to population size, India's number 114. Peru is number 1. And Peru, I believe, had a really strict lockdown. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Brazil's number 9, Argentina's number 12, Belgium's number 14, Italy's number 16, UK, lockdown UK's number 20, USA is 21. India's not even a top 100. So all they do is fearmonger over cases and deaths and cases and deaths. And I pray that people start paying attention because this is never going to end. People don't understand. If the vaccine that they're giving people doesn't even stop variants, Do you think cases are just going to disappear? I'm not saying COVID's the flu because I do think it's different, but I will say this. The flu vaccine was invented sometime in the 1940s, I believe. You could look it up, but around that time period in the 1940s, we had the flu vaccine for 70, 80 years. And if you look at the trajectory of the flu, similar to vaccinations in Gibraltar or vaccinations in Italy, in Israel with the COVID stuff, it's the same sort of thing. More people got vaccinated at a certain point, but the more people that got, you didn't see the correlation between cases going down and deaths going down. That's just the truth for the flu data. So we had the flu vaccine for 80 years, and every year the flu still had a pretty big flu season. I remember CNN was fear-mongering a couple years ago, like one of the worst flu seasons ever, despite the fact that we had a vaccine for it. And in general, time goes on. So the point I'm saying is I'm not comparing the two, but flu never reached herd immunity. I got flu multiple times in my life. I don't know what type of antibodies or immunity. I really don't know, or how long it lasts, but the flu pretty much never went away until COVID-19 came out. They started mass testing people with COVID-19. They started diagnosing COVID-19 more than the flu. And then all of a sudden the flu disappears. So if winter was formerly known as the flu season, oh my God, it's the flu season. Every winter, the flu numbers go up. Well, there is no flu anymore because they're not counting that. They're counting COVID cases. Okay, well, the COVID's there and the flu's magically disappeared. Okay. Every winter is probably going to spike. So you got people like Ann Coulter comparing the winter to the summer and being like, look, these vaccinations work. Let's talk in the winter, okay? I'm not saying they do or don't. I'm just saying let's talk in the winter. Let's not compare winter to summer because that's very disingenuous. Let's compare last winter to last winter and last summer to last summer, from vaccinated to non-vaccinated, and see the correlation then. My guess is cases are going to spike in the winter, and then they're probably going to go down a little bit around spring and summer, and then they're going to spike. So if we count cases for the rest of our lives, we're going to be on a giant loop of lockdowns and restrictions. And I pray that people start paying attention, because not only is Florida not doing nearly as bad as they said per the data for deaths per capita, but Israel's not really doing that much better. In fact, for this time period, Israel is doing worse in cases and worse in deaths for this specific day than it was last year when nobody was vaccinated. So let's just see how it plays out. And I could also play a clip real quick because I know they're forcing people, right? They're forcing everybody. If you don't get this, you can't work in New York City. If you don't get this, this is a clip of Bill Gates last year. I shared it earlier from a video I did last year. It said, "Are we ever going to go back?" I said this last year when everyone's like, "Trust the plan. The military's going to save me, and the deep state's going down with Chrissy Teigen." I'm like, I'm not trying to make fun of people, but I was doing real research while they were hallucinating that the Ninja Turtles were going to save their life because they like Donald Trump. I was saying, are we ever going to go back? And listen to what Bill Gates says right here, because it's pretty important.
Maybe that there needs to be some compromise in some of the safety measures that would normally be expected to create a vaccine, because time is so crucial.
Well, of course, if you want to wait and see if a side effect shows up 2 years later, that takes 2 years. So whenever you're acting quickly, like during the HIV crisis, they created a quick way of getting drug approval. There is a trade-off there. In that case, it worked super, super well. And here, we will, I think, be able to get some safety indications, but this is a public good. And so, those trade-offs, the government's working on a cooperative basis will be involved in the decision to say, hey, the regulator says go ahead, even though you haven't taken the normal time period.
Even though you haven't taken the normal time period. I'm going to play this one clip again. Hold on.
Be expected to create a vaccine because time is so crucial.
Listen to this part. Hold on.
Well, of course, if you want to wait and see if a side effect shows up 2 years later, that takes 2 years.
If you want to see if a side effect shows up in 2 years later, it takes 2 years. So I just want to repeat things. This is not hate speech. This is not anti-vaccination. That's not what I am. This is not hesitancy, etc. This is just real science, real data. Bill Gates is admitting it. This emergency use authorized vaccine has not been FDA approved because they don't have long-term trials. We are the long-term trials. And if you want to find out if something has a side effect 2 years down the road, you have to wait 2 years. And these things are not normal vaccines. They're The Pfizer and the Moderna are synthetic mRNA. They shoot synthetic mRNA into your look up what mRNA is, and you can learn what's going in synthetically, and then it builds a spike protein. So I'm not saying it does or doesn't work or what's going to happen in the future. I'm just saying the truth is, despite all the successes they're claiming, he admitted right there that if you want to find out what it does in 2 years, wait 2 years. We don't know. But we're going to go ahead with it. So the point I'm getting to is, if people want to get it, that's fine. But this idea that we're going to force it on people when that's being admitted, and they use the word indemnification a lot. Learn that word, because that's a sneaky word if you don't have a big vocabulary. Indemnification means to compensate for harm or loss, okay? So in order to protect themselves, the government and the vaccine manufacturers gave themselves indemnification. What does that mean? If you get a side effect, an injury, you die, something bad happens 5-10 years down the road, whatever, they're not liable. They have zero liability. They've protected themselves from all sorts of lawsuits. So if you find that something happened, you're not going to be able to sue. I don't know. Maybe you'll get part of a compensation fund somewhere, but it's not coming from Pfizer or Moderna because they've already protected themselves. So this is the world we live in. Israel is all about the vaccine. Israel has more cases today than they had last August 7th. Israel wants everybody to be vaccinated. Israel has more deaths today than they had this time last time period. Gibraltar has over 99% of people vaccinated. Gibraltar doesn't have it eliminated. Forbes is now admitting that the Delta variant can transmit Delta just as easily. And once again, they are preying on the fact that people don't read or pay attention or stand up for themselves. And it just couldn't be more obvious. If you look up in the Scientific American, I've spoken about it before, but I'm going to bring it up because it's relevant. The Scientific American is a pretty respectable, science website. And they talk about the flu vaccine. This is not some sort of crazy variants, mutations. This is not the first time we've had a virus with variants and mutations. They're acting like it's Bigfoot, like they just found Bigfoot after 300 years of virology and they've never heard of a mutation or a variant. Of course they have. I mean, the flu vaccine and the flu was not just for one variant or mutation of the flu. Every year, if you read in Scientific American, they would go to places like the World Health Organization, and some of the top people would sit down and they would try to guess and predict which variants or which mutations would hit which hemisphere. And then they would create a flu vaccine for that year based off which mutation or variant or whatever you want to call it, type of flu was going to hit which area. That's how they do it. And there's one, I'm just going to read the headline because I don't want to screw this up. I got to be very careful because I know they hate the fact that I read and they want to act like it's not true. Even when I tell the truth, they still want to fact check it. Did they fact check Joe Biden for saying 350 million people in America got vaxxed? Did he get a big fact check for that? Because there's not even 350 million people in America right now, unless you count all the illegals that they're purposely bringing in. But anyway, Scientific American, it says, this is from September 30th, 2019. It says, Scientific American, the flu vaccine selection suggests this year's shot may be off the mark. The strains chosen for the Southern Hemisphere vaccine suggest that the Northern Hemisphere one may not provide optimal protection. Let's read the article. Scientific American, folks. Read it yourself. It's never easy business to predict which flu viruses will make people sick the following winter, and there's a reason to believe 2 of the 4 choices made last winter for this upcoming season's vaccine could be off the mark. Twice a year, influenza experts meet at the World Health Organization and pore over surveillance data. What surveillance data? Pore over surveillance data provided by countries around the world to try to predict which strains are becoming the most dominant. The Northern Hemisphere strain selection meeting is held in February. The Southern Hemisphere meeting occurs in late September. The selections that officials made last week for the next Southern Hemisphere vaccine suggest that 2 of the 4 viruses in the Northern Hemisphere vaccine that doctors and pharmacies are now pressing people to get may not be optimally protective this winter. Those 2, influenza H3N2 and the influenza B Victoria virus. The strain selection committee concluded that the H3N2 and B Victoria viruses need to be updated because the ones in the Northern Hemisphere vaccine didn't match the strains of those viruses that are now dominant. Influenza epidemiologist Dr. Danuta Skorensky described the significance of those two changes a mismatch. So this is back when they actually told the truth in scientific journals and in mainstream media. They said in 2019, well, we can't really always, hit the mark. Sometimes we miss the mark. We guessed, we did our best, and you can go get it, but it's probably not going to work as well as we hoped it works. I mean, that's when they used to be honest. Did they blame you? Did they say there's a different variants, the Victoria and the H3N2, and it's all your fault? It's the unvaccinated's fault for doing it. It's these people's fault. It's the Trump supporters and around us. They didn't do that. They just said the truth. We're not perfect. We kind of screwed up. / it's not even possible to be perfect when there's so many different strains, and we did our best. Oh well. Now what are they doing? Well, the fully vaccinated, according to Forbes, it says the fully vaccinated can transmit the Delta variant just as easily. Okay, so there's a variant that you weren't prepared for or you didn't make a product for, and now the product that you made and injected into everybody's arms, hundreds of millions of people around the world, it's not protecting them from getting or transmitting the Delta variant that, by the way, do they have a test that can tell you the difference between the Delta variant and the regular variant? I'm not even sure that they have a test. They're just giving people PCR tests and saying a positive is a positive. They don't determine which one is which. So back in the day, they would have been like, yeah, that's just basic virology and science. We don't always get it right all the time. Nothing's perfect in this world, but they're not saying that. They're saying, let's go back into lockdown. Let's do that. And nobody's talking about this. It's sad because people say things about me. It's true. I'm not going to say used to be because I still rap and do shows, etc. I just like to focus on the news analysis because this is my passion and I think I enjoy it even more. But I shouldn't be the one doing this research. I could just be doing nothing or working another job or rap. Why can I do this? And it's how come nobody in government can do this? How come nobody in the scientific community can do this? How come the media is so fake and sold out that none of them can do this? Besides, Tucker, Laura does a good job sometimes on Fox, but who else is really doing this stuff? I do want to give a compliment. Alex Berenson is doing the work. I believe he used to work at the New York Times. Give Alex Berenson a follow on Twitter. He's got the data. He keeps talking about Israel. And as time goes on, people like Alex Berenson are going to be proven right. And people like Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, are going to be proven wrong. And, Scott Adams is funny because he reads my tweets aloud. I make fun of him and say he sucks at the pandemic analysis because he does. And then he'll read my tweets on his podcast. And it's so funny because my tweets are so funny. So imagine my tweet read by Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert. It's classic. To be fair, it's the only thing that makes his podcast even worth listening to because he's just Legendary Energy says that either I have a low IQ, brain damage, or I'm purposely lying. I'm yeah, that's exactly what I said, Scott. And the reason I say that, I'm not just a mean person. Scott Adams is it's a pandemic for the unvaccinated, but for me, it's just another Wednesday. He's you're caught in a pandemic. It's Scott, stick to Dilbert cartoons, okay? I love Dilbert. I like you. You're better at it, okay? The pandemic analysis, you're third grade comprehension, reading backwards level. And then he's like, I don't want to debate anomaly. I'd club him like a baby seal. I'm whatever you got to do to tell yourself that, Scott. And everybody's ratioing him on YouTube, on Twitter. The dude is getting ratioed by all his supporters every day. And he's trying to convince himself that he'd club me. It's funny. But anyway, follow Alex Berenson. People like Alex Berenson are going to be proven right because he's going over the data. The data says New York and New Jersey are the highest in deaths per capita. Florida's nowhere close to them. How come the media, they're liars. They're lying. So that's what it is. And we'll see what happens this winter. But I hope places like Australia, I have a live stream. I brought in 4 people from Australia on my Instagram, Dream Rare. We had people from Australia telling us what's going on there. It's crazy. I mean, it's essentially like an open air prison at this point. You can't leave. Some people want to see family in other countries. They can't even leave Australia, and they're on lockdown right now. Right now, they're on lockdown. You can't have one or more family member go to get groceries. That's creepy. There's police and there's helicopters, and they're not letting kids play at the park. That's creepy. Everybody's talking about Cuba. I get why. No disrespect, but what's going on in Australia? And let's not bring that here because they will keep doing this until people start waking up. And real quick before I end, I want to tell a story about golf because, I consider Bryson DeChambeau a friend, and, he's getting poo-pooed by the media because he said, I don't want to take the vaccine. No disrespect. Someone else could take it, someone who needs it. But in general, he's like, I got COVID. I'm good. And he's in second place right now in the FedEx tournament. Hopefully he wins tomorrow, but he's coming off of COVID and he's golfing just fine. Anyway, they're giving him so much shit. But there's another golfer named John Rahm, also a really nice guy from Spain. He was leading a tournament a couple months ago, leading the tournament. They pulled him out when he was going to win because he got a COVID positive PCR test. Pulled him out of the tournament. He got fully vaccinated to be a good boy, won a major, which is awesome. Then he was supposed to play in the Olympics with Bryson, and Bryson caught COVID, so they didn't let him go to Japan. And John Rahm got a positive test for a second time. So he got fully vaccinated, took like 3 PCR tests. 2 of them came back negative. 1 of them came back positive, and he can't go to the Olympics. John Rahm, by the end of his career, if this doesn't end, is going to test positive for COVID like 100 times. This is not abnormal. Tiger Woods used to play, and I'm not saying COVID's the flu. I'm just saying Tiger Woods used to play golf with the flu, and he'd win with the flu. Michael Jordan played with the flu or food poisoning, and he won with flu and food poisoning. So now they're doing COVID tests and PCR tests, and John Rahm, who's fully vaccinated, got COVID for a second time, even though he's got the vaccine. When does this end? It's never going to end. Not for golfers, not for NBA players, not for NFL players, not for you, not for the medical staff, not for the police, not for the military. So that's my only concern. If I thought everybody could get this vaccine and it would go away, I still think you deserve the right to not get it, in my opinion. But I would feel somewhat better about it, I guess. But I know this never ends because the root of it isn't even the vaccine. It's the mass testing with the PCR test. So if they keep testing on this level, who says this virus is going to go away? Has the common cold ever gone away? They say the average American gets 2 to 3 common colds a year. This is CDC. CDC says on their website, the average American gets 2 to 3 flus a year. So since everybody gets the flu all the time, I'm sorry, 2 to 3 common colds a year. I apologize. 2 to 3 common colds a year. So if everybody gets the common cold every year, which I think is a coronavirus, how come the common cold doesn't go away? Where's herd immunity? We all get common cold. How come the common cold doesn't go away? I don't know. It's common and it just doesn't go away. So there is no herd immunity apparently for common cold, because I would think that we'd probably reach it considering how common it is. So the common cold's been here our whole life. The flu's been here our whole life. Maybe COVID's going to be here our whole life if they're testing with a PCR test and deciding that you're positive, despite the fact that the founder and inventor of the PCR test, Kerry Mullis, said it's not a diagnosis tool. It's used for other reasons. He said it's not really to tell you whether you're sick or not. You could find something in you and then say it caused that. He's like, but that's not really what it's for. I'm not saying that. I'm not an expert. That's what the inventor of the test that they're shoving up people's noses said. So when is this going to end? I don't think it ever is. That's why I made the video last August and I said, is this ever going to end? What was everyone else doing? Everyone's got some. Every day, another big influencer or failed wannabe politician has something to say about me. Anomaly is turning his back on Trump. It's like, I've been saying this for a year. While you guys were fantasizing about Donatello and the Ninja Turtles arresting all the pedophiles and Trump being like a 5-term president and Barron Trump growing to be 50 feet and taking over after 8 years of Ivanka Trump, I was doing real news analysis and saying, I don't think this is ever going to end, because I'm listening to the people running the show and I'm researching what they're doing, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to end. So all these people that are just a bunch of do nothing, copy paste conservatives, they just copy and paste viral tweets that somebody made up 3 years ago. Like someone smart makes up all this shit. And then there's like 50 accounts who like are wannabe politicians who run in districts that they can't win, get blown out by 50 points, fundraise across the country, and just say generic things that they didn't even make up. It's like they have something to say about me every day. Every day is like, did you see what this person said about you? It's like these people are so not in my league. It's not even funny, but it's like, first of all, keep my name out of your mouth. But second of all, do something productive. This isn't Ninja Turtles like Recess. We're all playing make-believe here. I'm going through the data, the interviews, the people in charge, the pay stubs, the research, and that's what I do. I'm not a professional cheerleader. If I was a professional cheerleader, maybe I'd grow my hair longer, start doing jumping jacks and backflips and try out for the Dallas Cowboys. But I'm not a cheerleader, okay? If I was a cheerleader, maybe I'd try out for the New York Knicks or something and throw women 20 feet in the air and catch them like those jack dudes do. I'm not a cheerleader. That's not what I do. It's never what I did. That's not what I did in 2018. It's not what I'm doing now. So I'm going over the data. I'm going over the headlines. I'm going over what's going on. And to be quite frank, at a certain point, you start to realize while one party is clearly much better than the other, like Ron DeSantis in Florida, there's certain issues that are uniparty. There's certain foreign countries that both parties are emboldened to. There's certain industries like big pharma that both parties are taking money from. And I hate to break it to people. I really do, but I really don't. I really don't care. Even their glorious idol, Mr. I'm fighting the deep state, is also taking money from big pharma, is also hiring pharmacy lobbyists. So I didn't change. He changed, and he did something that he didn't used to do. And I just reported on it. That's what happened. But let me know what you guys think. God bless you. And I'm going to read a few comments, and then I'm going to take off. I'm going to try to keep this under an hour. Someone said your data helps tremendously. Well, if you see the videos I do, I'm going to give you just a quick insight. Thank you for the comment. There's a lot of things I could do, but I know the way the world works. I know how they work. I use their own articles against them. You don't see me coming out here quoting Alex Jones and quoting Fox News all the time. Why do I do that? Because they're looking to call it a conspiracy theory. So I'm like, this is Forbes. This is CNN. New York Times said this. Washington Post admitted this. This is the same data in Israel that you're reading. So I get to the exact source. I pull it all out and I put it right in front of them. I don't need to say that there's no long-term trials for this. Do you know why I don't need to say this? Because I'm going to play a clip right now and somebody else is going to say it for me. Let's listen. We're going to listen again.
Is that it may be expected to create a vaccine because time is so crucial.
Well, of course, if you want to wait and see if a side effect shows up 2 years later, that takes 2 years.
That takes 2 years. I don't have to say it. Bill Gates will say it for me. I got videos of him talking about, well, we need indemnification because if we make a one-size-fits-all shot, give it to the elderly and give it to the young, we're going to need to protect ourselves from side effect and liability. I don't need to say this stuff. I don't need to make up stupid theories about, underground tunnels. And I'm not saying that there aren't underground tunnels. I'm sure there are. I'm just saying I don't do what other people do. So these people are like, anomaly, I can't believe. I'm like, I don't just sit there and play like, make believe, it's like I'm not 13 anymore. I don't just make up my fantasies and act like they're really happening. I go at what's going on. And also I try to make it so they can't come out like, well, you said that. I'm like, I didn't say it. You said it. They're like, well, I did say it, but now I don't say it. It's like, whatever. Maurice said, almost never send these. I think this is my second. I don't watch as much as I used to, but you speak truth. Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate it. And no worries. It's all good. I appreciate you being here today. You can't be here all the time. Let me look at some Facebook real quick. Thank you guys for the stars. Thank you, Dan. Jeannie said, keep rocking those facts out. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Trevor. Trevor said 99% survival rate. Half the country hasn't even caught on to that yet. Thank you for explaining, though. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Remus. Thank you, Jessica, Clifford, John, Dee Dee. Erica said, what up, Anomaly? Keep doing your thing. Thank you, Erica King. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate y'all. Eric said, I love you, but you have a funny eye. It's okay. I think there's two things that play with my eye. I think one of the things is I have bad lighting here. I have like this light and then I have a better light. So one of it's the lighting and the angle. And another thing, I think it's just my eyes too. But if you watch me on Instagram, my eyes look a little more normal on there, but it's okay. I don't really care. I have 20/10 vision. So God is great. I have better than 20/20 vision. I have eyes like an eagle and I see like an eagle. I just look a little cross-eyed sometimes. Did I get the vaccine? Yeah, I got the vaccines when I was a kid. They just shot them into me. I came out a happy baby, right? I came out, and then they, I got them when I was a kid. But did I get the Moderna, the Pfizer, and the Johnson & Johnson? No, I did. I personally didn't. God bless everybody who did. No disrespect, no judging. I'm 31. I take care of myself. I'm not on any pharmacy pills. I'm not on any like heavy medication or drugs. And I don't want Pfizer or Moderna to shoot synthetic mRNA into my body to build a spike protein. That sounds like something I'm not interested in, but no. When I was young, I came out, I was so happy. And then it's like, it was like World War II when I came out the womb. They started chopping off body parts and shoving needles in me. I'm sure that's really healthy for a baby. Someone said, I love that you pull out receipts. Thank you, Sylvia. Someone said, what a hater, nothing better to do but criticize your eyes. Trust me, I don't really care. I have good vision, but I'm self-aware. I'm not like one of these people that if you tell me something about myself, unless you're like my best friend or something, like I probably know a little bit more about myself than you. So I'm confident. I definitely have a high self-esteem, but I'm not like, I don't lack self-awareness. So if you say something about my eyes, I've probably seen it a few times. It doesn't bother me. I promise. Someone said, have Bryson blow up the PGA. Bryson, he held his own. You know, he got COVID and he held himself. So I'm not his PR guy. I don't work for him. He's just a friend. So he's him. He's a smart guy. He's a confident guy. He's a very good golfer and he's a very good guy. So I don't give advice unsolicited, solicited, but you know, I did definitely with the PCR test. I definitely like to show people, not just him, but the whole world. I like to show people what tests that they're giving everybody because I think it's interesting. I don't think, you know, people need to say anything about it, but it is interesting to know who the inventor of the PCR test is. You know, I think that's good info to have. NWA Bear said it was good seeing you and Owen do a stream together again. It was really fun. It was really great connecting with Owen. And I think he's just one of the funniest people in the world. So I hope his path and his journey leads him to do something, you know, big into the public soon because one of the funniest people. Someone said I'd have to value your opinion for it to bother me. Yeah, but I don't know. At a certain point, my eyes are my eyes. So I think on YouTube, they look a certain way. And on Facebook, they look even crazier. Like I could see my eyes on YouTube. They look semi-normal. On Facebook, they look weird. There's different lighting and stuff, but I get it. I have the eyes I have. It's okay. Someone said I've never noticed anything wrong with your eyes. Don't worry, guys. It's not a big deal. I don't mind comments or jokes. Or like mean. Like I'm past the point of people hurting my feelings over that. I got bigger things to think about and bigger things to worry about. So I promise you, it doesn't bother me. Chow Studios said keep targeting potential state candidates. Thank you, Chow. Chaos Studios. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, with Larry Elder, DeSantis, Trump, etc. My theory is different than other people's theory. I get why people hate what I'm doing, and I get why people cry about me every day. But they should shut up. But in general, their theory is let me just ride the coattails, go to the events, raise donor money, and be the best Republican I could be. My thought as a registered Republican is, what if I challenge Larry Elder, challenge Trump, challenge Ron DeSantis, and change that narrative so they actually re-looked at what they were doing? And, you know, when I think they're messing up, they have incentive to do something about it, you know? So with this, DeSantis is a good example. I compliment him all the time. He deserves to be complimented. I think he's one of the best governors in this country, and it's not even close. But that doesn't mean he's perfect. That doesn't mean I agree with his anti-Semitism speech law that he's doing and flying over to Israel. That doesn't mean that I agree with every part of every bill he's ever passed. I have no problem saying when I disagree with DeSantis. But this is where people don't realize is like they think you have to like love everything someone does or hate everything someone does. DeSantis is a politician. He's serving you. He's serving Florida. He's serving the country. So when he does something good, it's nice to be nice. It's nice to compliment somebody and give them positive reinforcement. Keep doing that, Ron DeSantis, because I love what he's doing with the kids' masks. I love what he's doing. But then when he does something wrong, everybody thinks you need to like hate somebody. Well, Anomaly shills for Ron DeSantis because I say a few nice things. Anomaly hates Ron DeSantis. Like it's like this isn't like your family at Thanksgiving. These are politicians. Compliment them when they do something good. Call them out when they do something bad, but don't do it from a place of hate and don't do it from a place of idol worship. When I call Trump Grandpa Moderna, I don't do it from a place of hate. I think it's really funny because it is. I call him, you know, Donnie the vaccine salesman or Grandpa Moderna or Grandpa Pfizer. I'm not mad at him. I just think it's funny. And I wish Don Jr. or somebody would tell him that, you know, at a certain point, to switch strategies a little bit and do something else. So you don't have to hate or love, idolize someone. There's no in between with people, but I like to give positive reinforcement when people do stuff good, and you can't act like DeSantis is the same as every Republican in every category. There's different things that he's doing that I don't like, but I do think it's very honorable what he's doing with the COVID stuff. Not everything's perfect, but listen, we could be like Australia. We could be in a lockdown. Florida could be like California. You got to give props where people deserve it, and you got to hold your ground where you deserve it. I think that's the energy I'm trying to bring to the table, because it's like either you're all in or you're all out. That's how everybody kind of acts. Jacob said, when did you become interested in researching propaganda? Jacob, that's a good question. Very early, very early. So one of my first songs I ever wrote in college when I was like 18 or 19 years old, it was called Apocalypse. And I'm going to give you a little bit of it. It's a story of the world ending and the media lying. So this was when I was 18. My hook, I said, Time Warner, prepare to stop the prince. I'm convinced this is apocalypse. You ought to sit and wait for the clock to tick. Pick a spot and witness the apocalypse. No need to see a terrorist corrupt nations, and no need to see a therapist corrupt nations and terrorists. Got that? Anyway, I said, Time Warner, stop the prince. I'm convinced this is apocalypse. But I always knew the media was lying. I always thought people were brainwashed. But when I was younger, I didn't understand taxes. I didn't understand healthcare. I didn't understand the dynamic of conservative and liberal. To be honest, I didn't even know what liberal or conservative meant until I was like 26. No one used to talk about it. I knew the Democratic Party was fake. I knew the Republican Party was fake. I just thought the Democratic Party was better when I was younger. But I always was interested in like how everybody was brainwashed. And I think something people don't realize about me is one of my biggest issues when I was younger that has carried across party lines and I've always cared about is big pharma. Since I was like 18 or 19, I could identify that everybody was on pills. Every commercial was a pill commercial. Everybody's on pills. They're trying to give me Adderall when I'm 14 years old. So I always understood that big pharma was like out of control, in my opinion. So that's something that I've cared about since I was younger. That's never really changed. I've rapped about it since I was 18 years old, and I continue to rap about it till the time I'm 31. You go through my old music when I was that young till now, I'm always rapping about big pharma and pills and the food industry, stuff like that. I could see the corruption. So, when Trump went from a vaccine skeptic, people don't remember this, and this wasn't the only issue, but he ran as a vaccine skeptic. He ran as somebody who thought that they were causing problems. He used to tweet about how he thought they were causing problems. He had a meeting with RFK Jr. He was talking about doing stuff, and then he sided with Bill Gates, Fauci, and pharmacy lobbyists. That's just what happened. So, I didn't really notice it that much, but when he started turning into a huge vaccine salesman, I didn't change. This is the part that people are talking trash about me. I didn't change. Of course, I evolved and learned a lot over the last couple of years, and so did everybody, I think. But I didn't change on that issue. This issue that I've been talking about, I felt this way since I was 18 years old. It was Trump who went from a skeptic to a salesman. And it's not like a little sale. If you're going to sell the flu vaccine, whatever. I mean, I don't care, but this is not what this is. This is a different type of vaccine that's being shoved down everybody's throats, forced, and he didn't know. Well, how did I know that it was coming 2 years ago? But he didn't know. He knew. He just doesn't care. So this isn't your average Joe flu vaccine that half the country doesn't care about. The whole world changed on March, 15 days to slow the spread, and it's never been the same. So if I know that, you know that, and everyone knows that, Trump should know that too. He went from a skeptic to a salesman, and one of the most aggressive salesmen at perhaps the craziest time in American history. I didn't change. You don't have to agree with me, but this idea that people are saying I changed, and I don't have to defend myself, but I don't mind doing it because I'm standing in truth, so it doesn't bother me. Anomaly, all you did was wear MAGA hats. Find one picture of me in a MAGA hat. There's nothing wrong with a MAGA hat. You can't find one because I never was this Trump supporter who just said Trump, 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 Trump. That's how I was able. You know how many people have stopped me and said, my parents used to watch CNN. Now they watch Fox News. And I'm like, got to watch with that. But anyway, the way I got through to so many Democrats and liberals is because I didn't act like a full-blown Trump sycophant. I never acted like that. I always kind of brought a perspective of like, this is the truth. This is what he's doing. He's doing a damn good job. And then people try to act like my whole life was worshiping Trump in order to get views. I made one song about him. I didn't make a whole album. I didn't make 5 albums. I made one song, and it's not even the top 30 biggest things I've ever done. I've made a book report on Bill Gates that has more views, 3 times as many views as my song does. So I like the song. I'm glad that he inspired it, but people try to throw dirt on my name and say, "Oh, he anomaly changed. He just turned on Trump when he lost the election." You could find tweets of mine from over a year ago where I'm saying the same thing to Trump and the Republican. It's just nobody wanted to listen back then. So, everyone's got something to say, but it's all good. Someone said Trump pushes the shots like candy. He does push them like he's Candyman Trump. The Candyman can, because he injects you with mRNA and makes the world feel good. The Candyman can, he injects your little arm with the J&J shot. That's like a messed up version of Willy Wonka, one of my favorite movies. I don't got any juice left. That's disappointing. Someone said DeSantis pushes it like candy. They all do. I'm telling you, like, the pharma lobby is enormous. And in general, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be governor. I'm sure the pressure is intense. The money is high. And, there's political and financial reasons to do so. But all I have, I don't have money. I don't have a political job. Like, that's not where I'm at. I don't feel the need to lie on behalf of politicians. Like, so many people that cry about what I'm saying, they agree with me, but they don't feel comfortable to say it, because a lot of people, even in my position, they want to go to the event. They want to be liked. They want to go to Mar-a-Lago. I didn't hang out with Trump, but I went to the White House thanks to, Jesse from Lexit, God bless you, and Betty from the Republican Hispanic. I appreciate both of you guys. But I appreciate it at the time, and I still do. But it's like, if I can't go to these events with saying what I'm saying, then I don't want to go. If people want me to go, I'll go. But it's what I'm saying is not that crazy. It's just so many people in politics and media, they want to be liked. I think Bongino is interviewing Trump again. I saw McEnany or whatever her name is talk about it. I like Dan Bongino, but I'm just asking, when is Donald Trump going to get a real interview from the right wing? When you watch Joe Biden get interviewed by the left, it's like a softball interview. It's like, what ice cream did you eat, Joe Biden? He's like, chocolate chip. And they're like, oh, Joe Biden eats chocolate chip. It's like, that's not an interview, but that's what the left... does the right not do that to Trump? None of these people ask him tough questions. I don't dislike them. I think Dan Bongino's a cool guy and he does a lot of good work, but it's like, is anybody going to ask Trump about 15 days to slow the spread? Is anybody going to ask Trump why Bill Gates said that he gave him a position as a Trump tried to hire Bill Gates as a science advisor and Bill Gates turned it down? Is anybody going to ask about the flu vaccine executive order of 2019? Is anybody going to ask about his relationship with the pharma lobby and how Trump took millions of dollars from big pharma? Is anybody going to ask about Alex Azar, how he put a pharma lobbyist at HHS? Is anybody going to ask why he extended the lockdown past 15 days or, gave his approval of the extension of the lockdown? Is anybody going to ask him about Operation Warp Speed? These are the questions I have. If I interviewed Trump, I would be nice. I wouldn't be like a jackass, but I would ask him a question. Like, I'm not a pushover. It's like, I don't know. I would love to see somebody on the right, but the point I'm getting to is like, no one wants to do it. Because imagine if you ask Trump a tough question and he gets pissed off or something. I don't know. It's like, hey, Trump, why'd you do this? And he gets pissed. Now you're not invited to Mar-a-Lago. Now you're not one of the cool kids who gets to speak at Turning Point. Like, I feel like everybody's just like a fan. They're like, oh my God, Trump. Like, that's the interview when he's on Bongino. And I like Bongino, but it's like, it reminds me of like a kid in a candy store talking to the candy man. They're like, thank you, daddy. It's like, there's no questions going on these platforms. I would just love, as a listener, as somebody who likes Trump and Dan Bongino, I'm like, I would love like a real interview, not like a thank you so much for the candy, daddy. I love lollipops and and Twizzlers. It's like, yeah, we all. I'm more of like a peanut butter cup kind of guy. I went to a candy store the other day and they had like a homemade like milk chocolate, dark chocolate. I'm saying a big boy with peanut butter. Like, that's my type of vibe. But At a certain point, somebody's going to have to ask these questions. Walker said, everyone go listen to Anomaly song Apocalypse. That's a banger. Thank you. I wrote that song when I was 19 years old. That's 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Holy crap, I'm getting old. Isn't that scary? Ev Genie said, Trump made mistakes, but he's gone now. Yeah, I'm not trying to make this the Trump show, but listen to what I'm saying. I'm talking about the interview. And in general, he's still the most powerful leader in the right wing. He has the heart and soul of over 100 million people. Trump is potentially, even off of social media, one of the biggest leaders in the world. Trump captured the heart and the soul and the mind of hundreds of millions of people. And he deserved to, because he provided something that no other politician provided: more truth, more honesty. I don't take anything away from him. He deserves to have the audience that he has, Donald Trump. But now with that audience, he's selling vaccines like the candy man, and he's doing virtually nothing to push back against the mandate of the product that he presented to the world for Big Pharma and Moderna and Bill Gates and Fauci and National Institute of Health, who owns part of the patent. So people melt down and cry when you talk about him because it's like their idol. They're like, don't talk about him. It's like he was the president for a year of the lockdown. He was the president who resided over 2020. And he's still the number one leader on the side of politics that's going to get something done. It's not going to be the Democrats unless they change their tune. It's going to be Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, honest progressives who know that the left is full of crap. That's who's going to save stuff. So when you got that guy at the top of that pyramid, it matters. It's worth talking about. So people who don't want to hear it, I'm not trying to be rude or mean. Go watch somebody else. You can find hundreds, I'm talking hundreds of Trump supporters who say the same exact thing. Do you know why they say the same exact thing? It's because they copy and paste and they steal everybody's shit. You go to my Twitter, you go to my page. I'm not stealing everybody's shit. I make it up and I come up with everything I do. I post everything, I write everything, or come up with everything on the spot that I say. All these people are clones. They say the same stuff. They're echoed. Go to one of those accounts. If you don't want to hear anybody talk about the lollipop man, go listen to, Slurpee McGillicuddy's podcast where he just slurps around this, Daddy Slurpo and the Skittle extravaganza, well, just, licking on the lollipop. There's hundreds of pages like that. I don't understand why you'd come to my page and ask me to talk about Daddy Lollipop and how much I like Reese's Pieces. Like, if you want to hear a softball, it's only the left, go watch somebody else. Tell me which one of those pages told you that Florida's number 26 in deaths per capita. None of them. Do you know why? Because they don't do real reporting. A lot of these people just slurp on Daddy's lollipops, and his Snickers and, Reese's peanut butter cups and whatchamacallits and, Hershey chocolate bars. And they just say a bunch of things that you want to hear. And it's fun. It's like going to the theme park, right? So go there. Why would you come to my page and ask me to say what they're saying? Well, he's not in office anymore. Then go to one of the pages that loves Daddy Lollipop and talks about how awesome he is. Because I bet you wouldn't say that on their page. If they're talking about Daddy Lollipop and Grandpa Moderna, you're not going to type, well, stop complimenting him so much. Stop complimenting him so much. Stop it. He's out of office. You're not going to say that because you want to hear Daddy Lollipop and Mommy Lollipop and the Lollipop Guild. We represent you. You want to hear that. So go there. I don't understand. Like, this isn't circus land, okay? There's hundreds of accounts who raise millions of dollars to lose elections in districts that they can't win, who copy paste quotes from each other because they're not creative or intelligent enough to come up with their own analysis. There's plenty of those pages. Go there. Trust me. I won't even notice that you're gone. Not you. I love you guys, but whoever said that, I promise I won't notice. And it's not because I don't love you, and you're important and you matter, okay? Black lives matter and you matter too. But there's plenty of lollipop suckers who love the candy man. Someone said Trump is Willy Wonka. It's kind of a funny dynamic. If he's Willy Wonka and the vaccines are like candy, I got to think of a better candy. They're like, I I don't know. What's like a funny candy name? I'm trying to think of something funnier. I don't know. We'll get to it. Someone said, I'm a big fan, bro, but you got to stop talking about that lollipop chocolate stuff. It's the first time I talked about it. I talk about it for 2 minutes and you act like I've talked about it for 50,000 times. I don't think I've ever brought up the candy. I've never said the candy man. I say Grandpa Moderna. I'm sticking to that. That's funny. Grandpa Pfizer, also moderately funny. The vaccine salesman. People get so mad that I call him the vaccine salesman. I'm like, he runs around the country selling vaccines. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, he's like literally in Arkansas and he's like, how about that Operation Warp Speed? Without me, it would have taken 5 or 6 years. I mean, how bad would that have been? You know, like a normal vaccine that actually goes through normal approval. That would have been so bad, right, Patriots? Thank goodness, Daddy Pfizer, Daddy Moderna, Grandpa Moderna, I rushed it through the FDA in record time. And everyone's like, hell yeah, he did. It's like no one actually likes that. You're just cheering because it's Daddy Lollipop. And it's funny to talk about because I think it's funny. He's like Willy Wonka, except giving you guys chocolate. He's selling you vaccines. And I love Willy Wonka. Gene Wilder deserves did he win an award for that? He should. To me, that's like the best acting job ever. Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka crushing it. You know, Grandpa Moderna was Charlie's dad, you know? Augustus Gloop is like the governor of Maryland. He's like, excuse me, Patriots. I'm a Republican rhino. Be afraid of me. I'm a rhino like at the zoo. Patriots, I got vaccinated. Everyone did. Lindsey Graham did. Trump did. And you need to do it too. It's like, calm down, Augustus Gloop. I can't even hear you. You're stuck in the tube again. Adam said, Anomaly, have you ever considered these accounts that say, I like you, man, but you got to stop, blah, 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 are just bot accounts? I find it very odd how they always start with the same message. It could be bots, but I don't like to get in the habit of calling everybody bots because I think it's like demeaning. Like when people ask questions about Israel at Turning Point events to Dan Crenshaw, they're like, hey, Dan, they're like, what do you think about the First Amendment? And why do you prioritize Israel over the Constitution? He's like, these damn bots and trolls, you know, they freak out. They're like these. I'm like, no, that's a real person with a real question. So I've come to terms with the fact that some people just don't like me. I don't think everyone's a bot. I'm sure people just disagree with me. And I'm sure people just say that a lot. But there are places on Twitter where like every account that says the same thing is made on like August 2021. That starts to look like a bot. But I've come to grips that the fact like everyone's not a troll. Like some people genuinely just don't like what I'm saying. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, there's plenty of like Candyman accounts where they, you know, you can go through the Republican candy store and they'll tell you how great everything is. You know, it's like there's plenty of those. I get it. Trust me. You think I don't like to hear people who agree with me? I like to learn politically, but if I have a stock or a cryptocurrency or something, I just want to hear somebody tell me I'm right. You know, I go to the candy store too. Oh, you bought a bunch of V-Chain? I'm like, yeah, shit. What is it? It's like, it's going to reach $10,000. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to be a trillionaire. And then it freaking tanks and I lose everything. You know, I like to hear people who agree with me too. Doesn't everybody? Hey, Anomaly, I like your shirt. Oh, thanks, man. I just bought this in Alaska. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be agreed with. But some people are going to say, Anomaly, you look stupid and your eyes are cross-eyed. Or, you know, stop talking about Trump so much. I don't think they're bots. I just think they don't like me, which is fine. I'm not for everyone. Thank you, Becky. Someone said a politician is not going to save your life if you have to do it. Someone said Mike TV is one of the jerks too. Yeah, we got to give everybody Willy Wonka names. That's pretty funny. Who do you think would be like what's the girl that turns into a big violet? Violet? You're turning violet, Violet. I don't know who that's Sarah Huckabee Sanders going around Arkansas telling everybody to get the Trump vaccine. Sarah Huckabee, if you're watching this, calm down, Operation Warp Speed, Sarah. You might turn into a blueberry if you keep playing yourself in Arkansas. I'm just saying. It might not happen, but it might happen. All right, I overstayed my welcome as always, but we'll stay for 5 or 10 more minutes. Someone said, I think Trump said people should have a choice on the shot. Yeah, that's what he said, but it doesn't matter. I'll give you another example because the Supreme Court agreed with the CDC on the communist moratorium that they're doing. Okay, Brett Kavanaugh voted in favor of the CDC extending the moratorium. And Brett Kavanaugh said, I think it's unconstitutional, but I'm going to sign it anyway. So he signed. This is why I blocked that Styx Hexenhammer guy, because he's like, Brett Kavanaugh said that. I'm like, I don't care what he said. The Supreme Court doesn't just say things, they vote. And their vote matters. If they vote one way and say something else, who cares what they said, dummy? I don't need this dummy lowering the IQ of my audience every day. It's like a leech, like a demonic, scrawny leech who hides in Europe. Anyway, so Brett Kavanaugh voted with the liberals to increase the moratorium, but he said it was unconstitutional. It doesn't matter what you say. It matters how so with Trump, this was all obvious years ago. So he rushed it for Big Pharma. He told you something, but he didn't have a plan for any of this. I knew that the corporations were going to do this. I knew that the states were going to do this. I knew that this was going to happen across all state lines on a corporate level. If I knew it, he did. He just doesn't care. Well, he said something. It's like, yeah, he funded billions of dollars to Big Pharma and told you something that didn't happen. And even if he was in office, you think he would have stopped this? He wouldn't have done jack shit. This still would have happened on a state level. This still would have happened on a corporate level. Certain things would have happened across all 50 states, and he wouldn't have done jack shit about it. If you want to go to the candy store is down that way. Drive down Main Street, take a left on Sarah Huckabee Sanders Lane, make a right on Bongino Alley, watch out for Tommy Lauren Back Valley. It gets a little weird there sometimes. There's also Ann Coulter, situationals at night that you want to stay out of those ghettos. Ann Coulter, very ghetto woman. No, I'm just kidding. But you can go if you want to go to the candy store. There's a candy store down the street that'll tell you that Trump didn't know what he was doing and he said it doesn't matter. He set you up for failure. He had zero plan to stop the mandate. And now that it's happening to millions of his supporters, he's nowhere to be found in the fight against vaccine mandates because he doesn't give a shit about you. But if you think he gives a shit about you, if you go down that way, candy store, there's a whole main street of candy stores. You can go pick out your favorite lollipop or pack of Twizzlers. But you're not going to get that here. So don't bring it here. Someone said you and Jeff Dunham should be a comedy show. Yeah, I should be the dummy. It should be Jeff Dunham and I could be his dummy. That's a joke. You get it? He has the dummy on his hand. Anyway. Someone said, I think Trump did what he had to do in order to create it. It's like giant excuse time. Let's not reminisce and have Groundhog Day again. Let's move topics. That's the conservative party. They just make excuses. They just make excuses for why they're losing. They have just like Trump with Operation Warp Speed, they have no game plan to stop the tyranny. They have no game plan to stop the mandates. They have no game plan to stop the communism, but they sure as hell will spend a lot of time on social media making excuses for the Candyman vaccine salesman. That's the conservative party. Someone said, what about you running? We go over this every day. I'm doing media and other things. I'm going to read this real quick. Dean, I don't have to read this. Dean Miller said facts. Anomaly was pressured by the FBI to turn in American patriots on DC on January 6th. All right, Dean, first of all, I don't even know who you are. You don't know me. And you're saying facts when you don't even know anything. So that's not true at all. I didn't turn in anybody. I knew nothing about what happened on January 6th because I wasn't even in Washington, D.C. So you're coming up with this idea just to avoid the conversation I'm having. You're hallucinating that I snitched on a bunch of people and turned a bunch of people in to an event that I wasn't even at, in a state that I wasn't even at, in something that I factually, on record, I will tell you right here, not that it even matters like this is a court, but if it were a court, I would swear on my life, I will swear on my life now 100% that I wasn't turning in patriots on January 6th. I swear on my life, literally, because I had no information to turn people in because I wasn't even there. So it's like, this is how wicked people become. They become Satan's little children. well, the anomaly method to work with the FBI. It's like, maybe you should just shut your mouth and go to the candy store. Maybe I've cared about big pharma corruption for 20 years, 15 years, and Donald Trump went from a skeptic to a salesman, and he started selling a product for Fauci and Bill Gates. Who do you think's working with who? Google Trump, Bill Gates job. Did I give Bill Gates a job? Do you think the FBI told me to tell you about Bill Gates and Trump? You think that's what they're working on? No, I think they have bigger fish to fry, bucko. Google Trump, Bill Gates job. Trump offered Bill Gates a job. You just thought he was fighting the people that he was working with. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Daddy Willy Wonka wasn't who you thought he was, Dean. So you got to make up fake theories about me to justify your candy store obsession. Go get your candy, Dean. There's 100 candy accounts. You never been to candystand.com? I used to play Candyland golf on there and Candystand bowling when I was like 15 years old. Go to candystand.com and play some flash games, Dean. If you want candy, go get your candy. There's 100 candy accounts that tell you everything you want. We can call you Candy Andy. But don't come here making up. Unbelievable, these people. Michael said, F you. All right, well, now you're blocked. Hopefully, I don't know if you're talking to me or Candy Andy, but I don't know, bro. It's unbelievable. I don't like, why do you even come here? There's candy stores all over the place. All right. I don't even block people on Facebook because I don't even read that much, but I'm gonna block you. Hold on. It's not working, so I guess you're staying. It's all good. Thank you, Sherry. Someone said, don't swear. It's so like, I don't come to your streams and tell you what to say or go on your post. Everybody thinks like I need unsolicited advice. I don't mind some backlash or feed or something, but it's like, don't curse. Do you want to start a YouTube or Facebook channel? Most of the time I don't curse. Sometimes I do. If you don't want to curse, go. I don't get why so many people think I want unsolicited advice. Janelle said, I don't like conservatives now. Are people this fried in the brain? I am a conservative. I'm a registered Republican. This is like mass brainwashing. Well, if it's not the left, it's the right. You must hate the right. I don't hate the right. I'm just telling you the truth. I vote Republican locally. I voted for Donald Trump. He took money from Big Pharma. He tried to employ Bill Gates. He worked with Dr. Fauci. He worked with Moderna. He worked with Pfizer. He became a pharmacy salesman. That's what he did. It doesn't mean I hate conservatives. It means that's the truth. These are the facts. What do you think? You watch Judge Jeanine and she tells you that you're fighting the radical left all the time? There's something called the Uniparty, and there's certain things that they all do. So it's time to wake up. If you want to watch Ninja Turtles, go tune into the cartoons. If you want to go to the candy store, there's 100 Candyland conservatives that will tell you what you want to hear. I'm just telling you the truth. I hate conservatives. I'm a conservative who actually wants to conserve something. Yeah, I don't just give softball interviews to conservatives who don't conserve anything. If you're printing trillions of dollars, you're not fiscally conservative. If you're funneling $10 billion to Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca when the country shut down, you're not conserving anything fiscally. You're not conserving the free market when no one else can open. If you're further left than Obama was when he took office, you're not socially conservative. So what do people think you're conserving? You're conserving this idea that you're conserving something. I tell you the truth, and it like blows your mind because you go to the candy store all the time, and these people tell you. Someone said Trump should have fired Fauci. He's working with Fauci. Guys, watch some of my videos. In 2016, I'm going to tell you why it didn't happen. It's not a big conspiracy theory. It's not like he didn't know what to do. He didn't get bamboozled and fooled by Jared Kushner. He worked with Big Pharma. In 2016, he went into office being a skeptic of vaccines. Very quickly, he shut down RFK Jr. He never investigated it. He hired Alex Azar to HHS, look it up, a pharma lobbyist Trump put in one of the highest positions. So the swamp that you think he drained, he actually just filled up with people that are so swampy that some of the people he put in at high levels of these agencies haven't even left. Like Christopher Wray, they don't have to get rid of him because Trump didn't really do anything for the things that you thought he was doing. So he hired a pharmacy lobbyist. He worked with Dr. Anthony Fauci. He took meetings with Dr. Anthony Fauci all 4 years. Obviously, he's in the government. He offered Bill Gates a science advisor position. Google it. He didn't fight them. He was working with them the whole time. So when 15 days to slow the spread happened, that should bring some clarity. When Trump decided to extend the lockdown past Easter after saying he was against it, that should provide some clarity. When he funneled tens of billions of dollars to Big Pharma, that should provide clarity. When he goes around on a Grandpa Moderna world tour and sells vaccines, that should provide clarity. He didn't get fooled. He didn't not fire Fauci for any other reason besides he's working with them. He's working with them. If you go to opensecrets.org, you could find out that besides Joe Biden, the lobbyist money sucker upper who got like $8 billion or so from a big pharma, Trump was the number 2 out of all the politicians. He was the second most biggest recipient from big pharma. Trump is a politician. I'm sorry he told you he was draining the swamp while he worked with the swamp. I'm sorry. I'm the one who told you this. I'm sorry that you hear this and think I hate conservatives. I don't hate conservatives. I hate the fact that the Republican Party did exactly what they promised not to do: socialism, communism, medical tyranny, complete betrayal of their base. And their base doesn't even know it because Mike Lindell pretends like he's Harry Houdini. They're like, anomaly. What do you hate? What do you hate conservatives? Didn't you hear that Mike Lindell's going to do something? No, he acts like he's Harry Houdini. Oh, I'm going to pop out with the evidence in August. Bro, you said you had the evidence in January. I hope he has something, but it's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm the one to tell you. Someone said, did anyone tell you to keep your enemies closer? Oh, yeah, patriots. The only way to fight communism is to implement communism. Oh, yeah. This is why they do this stuff, folks. I'm not going to be mean, but they do this because you buy it. I don't feel bad for anybody. If they sell shit and you buy the shit because you love these people so much, you idolize these politicians, why wouldn't they keep selling it to you? You're on a pathway to Australia. How did Australia end up like that? How did the UK end up like that? You don't have to ask how Australia ended up like that. And you don't have to ask how UK ended up like that because America is going to end up like that. If you take conservatives from 1970, they would laugh in your face. If you took a Democrat from 1970, they would look further right than Mussolini compared to this conservative base. I'm just being honest. It's like, so when you wonder how Europe got so soft, look no further than the own freaking movement right now. I'm a registered Republican who's embarrassed that there's absolutely no standstill in the Republican base. Nobody wants to hold their ground. Nobody wants to tell the truth. Nobody wants to challenge their own party. They want to go to the candy store and listen to a bunch of Republicans tell them they're fighting socialism when their people behind closed doors are implementing socialism. Socialism and communism through the COVID-19 lens was not implemented in 2021. It didn't start with Joe Biden. It started in March of 2020 with Donald Trump, with Mitch McConnell, with Nancy Pelosi, with Anthony Fauci, and your favorite person was in on it. Your favorite governor probably shut down. I think there was maybe one that didn't. I am sorry that happened. I'm sorry that you watch Fox too much or something and they told you that it was just the left. It wasn't. And the only reason they keep getting away with this is because this is the trap. Don't you hate Trump? Yeah, I'm a Democrat, so brainwash. Well, I'll do anything. Don't you love Trump? He's my hero. I can't live without him. Blah. And then you fight each other, and they're both doing the same things. Vic said, spot on. Don't let the hate. I'm not letting the haters do anything. Thank you, Vic. Someone said, for the most part, confident, well-adjusted, happy people gravitate towards you. Insecure, angry, and low self-esteem types dislike confidence and truth. Keep speaking the truth. Even those who don't listen can't hear. Interesting analysis. Thank you so much. I've said this for like a year and a half. I don't even like going on these tangents because I'm trying to talk about the data, and I really have to go in a couple minutes. I stay too long. But it's like, the reason they do this stuff is because people accept it. People accept it. Someone said DeSantis. I just talked about him and complimented him for like 30 minutes. But I'm telling you guys right now, if you sit there like sitting ducks, idolizing politicians, Ron DeSantis is doing a pretty heck of a good job in Florida. He's a politician. He's not your hero. He's not Jesus Christ. He's not John Stockton. He's not Michael Jordan. Okay. He's not Usain Bolt. He's not Jesse James. He's not James Dean. He's a politician who does politics just like the other politicians. He's just better at it and doing a better job. So if you treat a politician like Jesus Christ, you're going to be disappointed. Please learn the lesson. Please. Please. The country depends on it. And people think I care if people take it the wrong way. When I listen to Australians, you know what I noticed? There's definitely some based Australians who go really hard, but there's some of them are so lackadaisical. A lot of them are great, but that's how they got that way. They don't have any spine in Australia. There's some people, but the whole country has been overrun with softists, and they move the Overton window and then they lock you down like they did in the UK. So you have to be a little bit tougher on your guys. You have to, or they're going to do the same shit. They're going to. You don't have that much time in America. You don't have 5 years to keep failing. You've already failed for 60 years, which led you to this moment. It's crunch time. It's not time to hallucinate fake fairy tales. It's time to be a little tougher on your party. I don't hate conservatives. I love conservatives. I am a conservative. I just identify that there's a bigger game going on here. And I tell it to you every day. So the fact that people don't get it by now, go to the candy store if you want candy. Okay. That's not what I'm doing. Someone said, what do I think about the Capitol Police? It's all very strange. I don't know. Someone said, hang on. Some people are fighting back in Australia. Oh, I know. I talked to some great people in Australia, but I'm trying to hype up Australia too. When I talk about America, I'm not hating America. I love America, but it's like, wake up, folks. You don't have that much. It's the same with Australia. I love Australians, but it's like, they need some people. I know Avi Yamini's out there. That guy's got some spirit. I know a lot of people who follow me, who I talk to on Instagram, they got some spirit. I know there's millions of hundreds of thousands of great people in Australia. I love Australians. I'm just trying to, it's not time to take a nap. It's like if Australia is getting run over by lockdown and you're like, well, he had to do it. I mean, his advisors, it's like, it's not time for you to make excuses. It's not time for that. I don't understand what people don't get. Someone said, I'm in Australia and we have a conservative prime minister. A conservative prime minister took our gun rights and only speaks truth. Thank you, Lisa. And this is the most, someone said he loves to generalize people. It's not true. When I say something about conservatives, I'll tell you what, there's thousands of conservatives watching this. There's two different types of conservatives who interpret what I'm saying in two different ways. And it's been happening for a year. When I say conservatives need to go harder, Republicans need to go harder, they don't understand they're being, the conservative who knows how weak the conservative movement has become looks at my stream and says, man, finally, somebody's saying it. When I watch somebody talk about conservatives, I don't get self-conscious and think, oh my God, he's generalizing me. I'm a strong, I don't think that because I know exactly what they're talking about. I agree. I don't take offense. If you say America's too weak, not all of us, conservatives are too weak, not me. Republicans are too weak. I'm a strong boy. No, people that are strong don't think that. They hear that and say, thank God somebody's saying that because we're getting too weak. It's the person who feels self-conscious about it because they're that exact type of person. They think, oh, people who know what I'm talking about don't think I'm generalizing them. It's like when you say something about, people of ethnic communities do this as well. The greatest people that are Black, the greatest people that are Jewish, they don't say, when you don't like them, they don't say, oh, what do you hate all Jewish people? Oh, you hate all Black people? The worst people say that of every race. It's not just Black and Jewish. Every race, the greatest people don't assume you hate everybody when you're calling out stuff. It's always the worst. People like Sean King or people like Bishop Talbert Swan. These are the people that use their race as a shield. And when you say something about the race, they assume you're talking. Just stop already. Go to another. I know people don't want to leave the channel because they're not going to find work like I do there. But if you need like a softball candy stand, little like rub your back and send you on the road, go somewhere else. Seriously. Someone said, calm down. There are more for you. I don't have a calm. I don't get a billion views by being calm, okay? I don't fight medical tyranny by being calm. Australia's calm, UK's calm, okay? And what did it get them? Nothing, because you don't get, I have passion. This is real energy. I don't just sit up here and sell sheets in a monotone voice. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I do. I make jokes. I run around sometimes. Sometimes I'm laughing. Sometimes I'm funny. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes I'm passionate. Sometimes I am calm. If you want a calm channel, go somewhere else. I don't understand why people, well, you should do what I would do. You go do it then. I don't get it. I don't watch people and tell them what I want them to do. If everybody acted super calm and super lackadaisical, the country would be in shambles right now. If everybody had a line that they drew, everything would be fine. Reese said, keep speaking the truth. We have to stand up. Someone said Marx, Ritter, and Nietzsche were all funded under the same instruction of the Knights of Malta Militia, Treasure of the Guardians, said Christiana. I've never heard that. I'll look it up, though. Thank you for the super chat. Someone said Brom and Bondi. Shout out Bondi. Someone said we like the outrage anomaly, but we need a fresher outlook. Well, just watch the first hour of this stream. I have to take off, but it gets frustrating, and I don't want to go down this hole again because I've been enjoying myself. But it's like I go to the candy store. Seriously, go to the candy store. There's plenty of candy, man. And just to quickly repeat myself, not to go down this rabbit hole again, but like most Republican influencers, they just shit on the Democrats all the time. It's funny because the Democrats suck, but I'm focused on my team. My team is the Republican Party. So if I say we're not playing defense, I don't hate us. I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about trying to raise the average of what we're doing. That's how you win. I'm sorry, you don't win by just making fun of the other team. This is what everyone does, and they brainwashed you into thinking you're doing something. I'm even more concerned about the fact that if this would have happened in 2021 and Joe Biden shut the country down and Joe Biden worked with Dr. Anthony Fauci and Joe Biden was working with Bill Gates and Joe Biden was working with, then I would agree with everybody and be like, totally, dude, all we have to do is win the next election and then we're in the clear. This didn't start under Joe Biden. It started under President Donald Trump. So how are we going to fight the system when you guys are fighting to bring back the same person who did this to us? And you don't even realize that he did it. I don't hate conservatives. I love this country. And I realized that we got bamboozled last year by our own team. And people want to sit here for 3 years and make excuses for it. Go somewhere else. Seriously, go somewhere else. Go to another page, another channel. There's plenty of liars, grifters, donor fundraising. Go to Mar-a-Lago trying to be the biggest Republican they could be. Go there, please. I promise you, you'll enjoy it much more. They'll just cherry pick headlines, copy and paste things that other people said, and say generic stuff that is not even remotely impressive. Go there. This is not what I do here. And there's a reason I do it. And I've explained myself 1,000 times. So when people want to bring up the same stupid arguments and the same stupid excuses all the time, it's annoying. Someone said, I feel like people should research and vote in their local elections. For sure. Local elections is important. No question. Someone said the bamboozle has been happening for decades. For sure. And the people who've been getting bamboozled for decades are the ones who take such offense to it. How dare you blame all of us? Get your head together. Come on, get your head back in the game. Someone said Lindsey Graham is going to vote for the infrastructure bill. Of course he is. Lindsey Graham is a total tool. He's a total phony. If you thought Lindsey Graham was on your side, you'll figure it out. But the infrastructure bill is a joke, but they've been, I guess the part that's so frustrating about me is we actually had the country in our hands and our team did this to this, passed it off to Biden. And now how am I supposed to, you get what I'm saying? It's like, it's a mess, but Robert Heller said, anomaly, I don't think you understand the system. Robert, you're so wise. You're so smart, dude. That's why you're watching me and I'm not watching you. Robert, you should start a YouTube channel, a Facebook channel, an Instagram page. You should start your own page, Robert, because you understand the system so much. Bro, I just feel stupid. I don't even know what system are we talking about. Are we talking about a Coca-Cola machine? I wish I knew how it worked. Is there a plug? Oh, I forgot to plug it in. Dude, I don't know how any system works. You're the smartest guy, Robert. You know how the system works. You're so wise and so intelligent and just so well researched with the system. You should start a Facebook page and maybe I'll watch it. Oh, wait, actually, I won't watch it because I don't give a shit. Someone said, did they really route money from BBB for small business owner to infrastructure? They've been scamming you for 100 years. Did they do that? Probably. Did they scam you last year? For sure. Did Trump scam you? Yeah. Did Biden scam you? Yeah. Is Pelosi scamming you? For sure. Did Mitch McConnell scam you? Yeah. They're all scamming you. So if you think they're possibly scamming you, they're printing or digitally creating money, locking you down, creating restrictions, forcing an mRNA vaccine into your arm while Pfizer and Moderna are making money. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Donald Trump, the freedom fighters, are running around the country telling people to get the Trump vaccine. Are you being scammed? For sure. By Biden? Absolutely. By the Democrats? For sure. But the Republicans are scamming you too. So at a certain point, you're going to have to figure that out. Or watch Robert's channel so he can blow your mind with his just amazing wisdom. Jim Jones said, just now a grocery store cashier in the Bay Area tried to deny me service for not wearing a mask. The bag checker had my back and made the cashier ring me up. Awesome, Jim. God bless you. God bless the Bay Area. Sam said, let's make some music. It would be dope if I spit on it. You could email me, possibly. All right. We got to end on a good note. Someone said 8 generations to make up the debt. We'll be fine, but people need to wake up like yesterday. Thank you, Robert Judd. I appreciate you. Someone said 17 Republicans voted for the bill, including Graham and McConnell. I'm sure they read all 2,700 pages. There needs to be, and this is like bigger picture stuff, there needs to be a moment when, and I know this can bother people, both sides have to stop running around their false idols, whether it be loving Trump or hating Trump, obsessing over Mike Lindell or hating Mike Lindell, whatever the freak the Democrats are doing. People need to stop and realize both parties are scamming you. And if you keep running back and forth with no sort of spine and drawing a line in the sand, it doesn't matter if Donald Trump gets back in the White House because he scammed you too. There needs to be this other understanding or else nothing matters. I promise you. When Donald Trump is in office, he did an omnibus bill that was complete garbage. And he said, I will never sign a bill like this again in 2018. I will never sign a bill like this again. I'm going to do it now. I will never do it again. In 2019, before COVID, do you know what he did? He signed the bill. Did he give it any sort of pushback? He didn't. He bragged about it. He sold it like a snake oil salesman. Same type of crappy infrastructure bill where they're just printing a bunch of money, thousands of pages. Nobody's reading it. Complete bullshit, complete scam on the taxpayer. And Trump sold it as if it was a Trump steak. He said, oh, it raises the smoking age. You're raising the smoking age? Trump sold it like a snake oil salesman before the pandemic. So these infrastructure bills, here's what you're going to get. You're either going to get a pile of shit the size of Minnesota from the Democratic Party, or you're going to get a pile of shit the size of New Jersey from the Republican Party. But they're both feeding you complete shit. Does it make sense to vote Republican? I think so, but I don't want to eat shit for the rest of my life. So at a certain point, you're going to have to figure this out. Because whether it's a $3.5 trillion bill from Joe Biden, of course they're scamming you. The Democrats are scamming you. McConnell's scamming you, and Lindsey Graham has been scamming you. But the craziest part is if Mike Lindell's right and Donald Trump gets back into office, it doesn't fucking matter because they're going to scam you too. And you didn't even know that they scammed you for 4 years. And in the last year was the biggest scam of all, which is called 15 Days to Slow the Spread, extension to Easter, the CARES Act, which doesn't care about you at all, Operation Warp Speed, which is one of the most corrupt pharmacy schemes in modern history. The pharmacy industry is one of the most corrupt industries. And Donald Trump is championing the most corrupt pharmacy scheme in modern history. He's a snake oil salesman, and you guys love him and want him back. This is why the country never gets anything done. They raise taxes, they scam you, they both pass bills, and they convince the Democrats that they're fighting the Republicans, and they convince the Republicans that they're fighting the Democrats. Are you going to win a little bit? For sure. But at a certain point, this is not good enough. So what I'm doing is not just making up stupid tweets that I copy and pasted from someone else about the Democrats. I'm trying to let the Republican Party know you are also being scammed. And if you keep going back and forth, it's never going to end. And guess what? This is what it leads to. And I'll tell you what, here's another thing that people don't want to hear. But in World War II, the reason that this seems so communist right now, the reason that this doesn't seem right in the world and everything's getting kind of weird is because the communists won the Second World War with the help of the United States of America. The United States of America in World War II helped China and Mao Zedong. The United States in World War II helped Stalin and Russia and the Soviet Union. The United States in World War II created with Stalin and eventually to be China, or eventually to be Mao Zedong's China, created the United Nations, which has been a communist jump off the entire time, which was created in San Francisco by a bunch of communists. So if this seems kind of communist, it's because both parties have been helping communists for 80 years and they just didn't tell you about it and they lied about history. I'm sorry. I know this sucks. I know. It's more fun to pretend like Trump's in underground tunnels fighting pedophiles. It's much more fun. I'm sorry. Someone said, what's your answer? The answer is realizing it's happening and stop doing it. It's like with the mask mandate or the vax mandate. If everybody caves, it keeps happening. It's that simple. It's actually so easy. It's actually so fun. I could breathe again. It's actually so calming. You know what the solution is? To stop playing along. It's really that simple. Well, how do I do it? Just stop playing along. If everybody stopped playing along, or 50% of people stop playing along, or 80% of people stop playing along, all of the medical tyranny would end tomorrow. But guess what happens? Everybody keeps doing it. It's the same as this. Who's saying this? No one's doing it because they're running in circles around Mike Lindell and Donald Trump and the audit and the fraud and the burn. And so and the left is running around God knows what. They haven't done anything sensible in 15 years, if ever. So that's what's the solution? It's simple, but it hurts people's feelings that want to, be a professional fan of World War III, WWE. It's professional wrestling. They're all, including Donald Trump, signing off on bills that are thousands of pages long that put trillions of dollars into corrupt people's hands. Well, he had to do it. Well, if he had to do Operation Warp Speed, which incentivizes and gives money to big pharma to essentially do this more and more and more, then that's not good enough. If you want to be free, if you want to be locked down like Australia, then yeah, keep making excuses for it. So the solution is people have to stop playing along, but people don't want to stop playing along. They love the fact that they think Mike Lindell is like Harry Houdini. Anomaly, Mike Lindell's got a plan. He's going to do something on August. He's not doing shit. He's going to release some info that's going to help with, election integrity, but it doesn't matter to the point of he's not saving the world. Even if he was successful to get Donald Trump back into office, which he's not going to be, it's not enough. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's fun to think that it is, because if you think that someone else is going to save you, you don't actually have to do anything. Someone says stop voting. I think it's even deeper than not voting, though, because I've had this debate. But yeah, you could stop voting, but someone's going to get into office. I'm not even saying not to vote. In my opinion, other people have theirs. I'm not saying not to vote, but stop playing along. I'm going to give you one example that I did with the help of other people, hundreds of thousands of people, but I used the power that I have, not much, but more than some people socially. I saw what Larry Elder was doing with the masks. I called him out. I could have been like everyone else and said, Larry Elder's my best friend. No, he's running for office to serve me, and I'm not impressed with his shitty campaign statement. I said something instead of just being an agreeable pushover, and he responded within 24 hours. Why? Because the backlash got so severe that he had to explain himself, and he should have explained himself, because if you're running for office and you're not explaining yourself, you're not doing a good job, which he wasn't. He's improved on it, and I appreciate it. That's called having a spine. You're not supposed to be a big fan of Ron DeSantis or Larry. You're supposed to be a tax-paying citizen who voices your concern. If Donald Trump gets into office and passes a 3,000-page omnibus bill with trillions of dollars, you're not a professional SEAL. If you are, go to the freaking SeaWorld. You're a tax-paying citizen, man or woman or landowner or citizen, whatever you want to call yourself. And your job is not to clap like a freaking SEAL for a politician that's working with the same industry as the other party. If everybody actually got a grip to what they were doing, it would be over tomorrow. But they love the left, the right, the black, the white, the vaccinated, the unvaccinated, the Trump versus anti-Trump. It's all part of the show. So that's the solution. People just need to realize it's happening. Like, for example, I'm going to give you an example, and I really got to go. I apologize. I got my friends here. I'm staying too long. But okay, when it comes to free speech, I've been saying this for 2 years, and Christians are going to figure out what I'm saying when the Bible is illegal. And when the Bible is illegal, I promise you, it's not going to just be the Democrats who made the Bible illegal. DeSantis, who I like, Donald Trump, who I kind of like, but he's annoying, and these Republicans, they're passing speech laws, executive orders, and bills that will make the Bible illegal. It's going to blow your mind. I said, no, it's Ilhan Omar. No, I'm going to say it again, and then I'm going to explain myself. Republicans, including Donald J. Trump and Ron DeSantis, have been passing anti-First Amendment laws that will make the Bible hate speech. No. Do you know how? Under the guise of fighting anti-Semitism. Ron DeSantis flew over to Israel and passed a school bill that's fighting anti-Semitism. Donald Trump passed an executive order that's fighting anti-Semitism. Have you ever read the anti-Semitism laws? Have you? Probably not. I have. I've read them all. And guess what? A lot of them are just simply free speech things that you should say. And some of them make the Bible illegal. There's 2 parts of the Bible in Revelation that says, not talking about all people, but a specific group of wicked people. The Bible says, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, and I'll make them bow before you to know that I've loved you too. So if you were to quote that Bible verse in full, scripture, in a school in Florida, not that you should really bring that up in school, but I guess if it was a Bible school, why not? Or on a college campus across the country, that phrase from the Bible would now be considered hate speech under a law that Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis passed for Israel and their Jewish donors. And even saying the word Jewish donors or Israel is risking me passing an anti-Semitism law, even though one of the biggest donors on the left wing is George Soros, who's Jewish, and on the right wing is Sheldon Adelson, who passed recently, but was one of the biggest donors in U.S. history, who's also Jewish, who was passing or giving a lot of money on behest of Israel and his agenda for what he wanted to do with Israel. That's just the truth. That's not me. That's like saying Big Pharma is not funneling money to people for their benefits. Like, yeah, they are. So these laws, if you read them, they make this type of speech illegal. You're not allowed to say that people of that ethnicity own media companies. That's anti-Semitism. You're not allowed to talk about blood libel. That's anti-Semitism. You're not allowed to criticize them. You're not allowed to talk about them. You're not allowed to compare Israel to other people. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to compare them to Nazis. That's hate speech. You can call Trump a Nazi. That's fine. You can call Christians a Nazi. That's fine. You can call Muslims a Nazi. That's fine. You can call Arabs a Nazi, that's fine. You can call black people Nazis, that's fine. You can call white people Nazis, that's fine. You can call the Republican Party Nazis, that's fine. You can call anybody Nazis, but you can't call one country that in America, not your country, a different country, or else it's hate speech. I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying it's a little weird when a foreign country has better laws than our country. So I'm just warning you, when they try to make the Bible illegal, if they haven't already, it's not going to be just Democrats. And there's 2 things, and there's certain things that both parties do because that's where the money comes from. If you look at how much money certain people give to politicians on the right wing, it's enormous. It's not just the left wing politicians being funded. And I'm sorry, it's not just the rhinos and Lindsey Graham. It's Trump and DeSantis too. They're in on it as well. I'm not saying they're terrible people. I'm just saying the agenda that they push doesn't mesh with the Constitution of the United States. It just doesn't. Doesn't mean I hate people. I'm Italian, Polish, Puerto Rican, Czechoslovakian, American, white, part Hispanic, and Christian. Do I have any speech laws that go in my favor? No, you can say whatever you want about my race, my religion, my whatever. You can say whatever you want. And that's what you're supposed to do in America. But you're not allowed to talk about bankers, media moguls. You're not allowed to talk about Mark Zuckerberg, Susan Wojcicki. You're not allowed to speculate on control of media because it's such a hate speech offense that Ron DeSantis had to pass through legislation. No, they're controlling history, controlling the narrative, and controlling discussion. Because if you can control what people can't say, nobody will say it. And over the course of time, it'll either be forgotten or illegal. And if it's illegal, the people in powerful positions can't be challenged. And that's what, to give you another example, that's what Democrats are doing and liberals in the scientific community. They're doing that through fact checking. When Joe Biden makes a mistake or lies, they don't really fact check him that hard. When Jen Psaki lies about FDA approval, they don't care. They only care when you disagree with their narrative. So the left uses fact checking and misinformation as like a communist censorship tool to silence all their dissenters. And Republicans do that with their Zionist agenda as well. It's not that Zionism is inherently the worst thing in the world and loving Israel or loving Israelis is terrible. That's not what I'm saying. As an American citizen, if you believe in the First Amendment, you can't believe in hate speech laws. So if the Zionist agenda of Dan Crenshaw, Donald Trump, Don Jr., DeSantis, all your favorite conservatives, if their agenda supersedes the constitutional agenda of America, then you don't have a country. And if their big pharma agenda, if their vaccine selling bonanza supersedes the interest of America first politics, you don't have a party on your side. So that's what's going on in this country. On the left wing, you have an international communist agenda where they don't give a crap about you at all. In fact, I mean, look at these people like Megan Rapinoe. She doesn't even like the country. That's just true. I don't hate her. It's just she doesn't like the country. So on the left, you have international communists who will literally prioritize everybody else besides you because they hate the country. And on the right, you don't have an America First nationalist party. You really don't. Maybe you did 60, 70 years ago. But on the right wing, you have a Zionist party, which is run by a bunch of donors that I can't even talk about because they'll say it's anti-Semitic hate speech, even though it's just a factual statement. You have a Zionist party that prioritizes a certain agenda above you, your family, the Constitution, and the First Amendment. And apparently Big Pharma seems to be somewhere involved in there because clearly they all cave to the jabulation. So the point I'm getting to is if you think you're in this game where one side is going to save your world and the other side is the big bad boogeyman, and once you beat them, your whole world's going to be saved, it's just not, it's never going to happen. It's like WWE. If you realize one side's better than the other, you appreciate what they do, but other things that they do, you call it out, you'll actually make some progress. You know, these people only get away with it because nobody says this. Everybody just claps. That's all I'm saying. You know, they prey off the fact that people never know what they're doing and just clap. Mimi said, "Hey, Anomaly, thank you for always keeping it real." And people finally opened their eyes and could see the hypocrisy and manipulation. And for the record, thank you, Camilla, too. For the record, I have no problem with anybody. As far as the Israel-Palestine conflict, it's I could go into great detail about what I think about it, but in general, I'm an American citizen. I'm not focused on Cuba. I love Cubans, but I'm not focused on Cuba. I love Palestinians and Israelis. I'm not focused on that. I believe in order to help the world the most, we have to focus. As I live in California, you think I have time to solve the Israel-Palestine conflict? I can't even solve the city that I used to live in. Los Angeles is going to shit. America needs to focus on America. That's all I'm saying. And neither party does that. The Republican Party does not prioritize this country and our Constitution as much as they prioritize passing speech rules for a certain group. That's all I'm saying. Someone said we need to stand up for our own lands. Things will happen. People learn. Definitely there's an awakening, but the political situation is so, it's like designed to just keep you in a state of not doing that much for long, long periods of time. Beverly said Louisiana is being told that we are the #1 state for new cases. Is any other state reporting that? I would have to look at it. I mean, you could count cases with them if you want, but I would look at deaths per capita. Let me see where Louisiana's at in deaths per capita. You guys are number 7. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. But I mean, you can count deaths and cases all the time. I don't know if that's the right solution. Someone said Israel's the greatest country in the Middle East. Here's what I'm saying about that too. I always get misconstrued. All right. Right now, I'm focused on medical tyranny. Israel is one of the most pro-vaccine countries in the world. I don't hate Israel. I don't even hate their government. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate anybody, but they're not only pushing the vaccine aggressively, they're doing vaccine passports for travel in the Middle East. They are one of the most aggressive countries in the world with forced vaccination and vaccine passports. And I have the data in front of me, and they're not even doing as good as last year when there wasn't the vaccine at this time. That's all I'm saying. So I don't want to be joined at the hip with Israel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to be America, Israel, like we're this one group that just sticks to, I'm not turning my back on them per se, but it's like, I don't want that type of influence and big donors and people like that to influence America. I want people that actually care about America. And I think Israelis have every right to care about Israel more than America. Why wouldn't you? Why would you be an Israel citizen who cares more about America? That's weird. So they should care about themselves, but we don't have a political party in America who cares about America more. The Democrats don't care about us, and the Republicans care more about them than they do us. So that's my problem is that relationship in my perspective is going to, and people don't have to agree, it's going to drag America to destruction. And it already is, because you have to focus on yourself. You have to prioritize your own people. If you give up the Constitution that you've had for 300 years for a foreign country halfway around the world, you're not going to have it anymore. But that's a conversation that's going to take too long. All right. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I got to go. Everybody says agreed. Now what? I feel like it's the same live stream all the time, but when it comes to now what do we do and what, it's like same thing as this. Once enough people in America, once enough people, vaccinated or unvaccinated, decide to say, I'm not listening to these tyrannical rules, your whole world, your whole country will change. If you do it on a personal level, for the better or worse, depending where you work or what you can get away with, your whole life will change. So, God gave us all the gift of our own minds, our own souls, our own spirits, and our own discernment. And that's up to you to use it. So once you stop playing along to COVID tyranny, your whole life will change, hopefully for the better. But I can't guarantee anything. So you can make that individual decision, and that's all you could do. If 100 million people make that decision with you, this is all over. If 80% of people decide just to keep going along because they don't want to get in trouble, this will last literally forever. So you can't cry about it or freak out about it because you can't control what other people do. But it's really that simple. So it's the same thing with politics, whether it's Trump or Democrat. Like the whole Democratic narrative is hate Trump. They don't do anything that makes sense anymore because they've conditioned 50 million people to just be fooled always. And when you get to the Republican Party, You have some cool stuff going on. You have border security that doesn't exist, but it should exist. There's talking points on the right that make sense that I agree with, but I'm just saying there's also a lot of WWE. There just is. On the right, there's way more WWE fake wrestling than you think. There's way more. Everybody says the rhinos, but not my people. They're rhinos too. They're all rhinos. Even Trump and DeSantis, they do a good job, but there's certain things, there's certain lines that certain people won't cross. And it doesn't mean you have to hate them. Doesn't mean you have to blame them for everything. It doesn't mean you have to wait till they change and save their life. It just means as soon as you see it and it becomes a thing, they'll have to address it. So it's really that simple. Once enough people identify it, there doesn't need to be an event or it'll all end. So you can't make everybody do what you want them to do. Of course, all you can do is your own thing. But when you look at the Republican Party, the biggest issue in the Republican Party right now is not the Democrats. The biggest issue in the Republican Party is that we elected someone named Donald J. Trump to do something in 2016, and he ended up caving, closing the country, allowing the country to close, partnering with Big Pharma, and selling a vaccine while printing a bunch of money, which is a communist thing to do, while doing universal basic income, which is a communist thing to do, while bragging during his term about universal basic income, which is a communist thing to do. That's what the Republican Party did when we gave them power last. That's the biggest problem in the Republican Party. It's not what Joe Biden's doing. You should keep an eye on him. He is the president. But if you think replacing Joe Biden with Donald Trump is going to solve all your problems, you didn't pay attention to last year. And that's the problem that I'm kind of trying to point out to the Republican Party. Clearly, no one paid attention last year. So their whole goal is to get back to the point, which isn't where we want to go. The only way to get to that point is when you identify what he's doing. Everybody hates that I call Donald Trump the vaccine salesman. But if 60% of his base did that and nobody was going to his rallies and putting pressure on him in interviews, guess what would happen? Would he cry? No. Would he hate you? No. He's a tough guy. You think Trump cares about what you think? Of course not. He would address the situation. Everybody that hates what I'm saying and acts like I hate conservatives, if I even had 50% of the base instead of 5% of the base saying what I'm saying, it's starting to grow. It's starting to grow. It's getting bigger. It's getting popular. But once it reaches critical mass, he's going to have to address the bullshit that he's been pushing. And that's not a bad thing. You're not, unless you work for him. If you work for Donald Trump, sure, make excuses for him all the time. If I worked for Donald Trump and I was Kayleigh McEnany, that's what I would do. I would just that's my job, right? It's not my job though. I don't do that. So, and you don't do that. So why spend so much time making excuses for him? You could vote for him, but that's what I'm saying. The biggest problem in the Republican Party is that nobody challenges their own party. So they fundraise off of fighting the radical left. They get into power and they become the radical left, and you don't even notice because they don't tell you that they're doing it. That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to get across. That's the point I've been consistent about for over a year. And that will radically change the Republican Party more than anything else. Talking about Democrats will be when you address that in your party, or else it's always going to be bait and switch, bait and switch, bait and switch, bait and switch. It's not going to work. It's just not. Let me know what you guys think. Someone said we need shirts that say no to government. I mean, a shirt is always cool, but that's what's going to change. It's seriously that simple. I don't hate conservatives. I don't mean to harp on this, but people, you hate this, you hate me, you F you hate that. It's like, no, this is a hard-nosed businessman from New York City who Trump has worked with the worst people in the world for 50 years. You think I'm going to hurt Trump's feelings? Come on, guys. He's way stronger and way smarter than people give him credit for. You act like I hate him. He didn't know what he's doing. You think he's dumb and weak. I think he's strong and smart. I think he can handle 80% of his base disagree. They have to. If you keep clapping for Operation Warp Speed, you're going to get Big Pharma, and they're going to shove it down your throat. You have to boo this guy, or let him know and let his advisors know and his son know. Let them know that this is not the leadership that we want. And to be optimistic, it's already happening. Although DeSantis is not flawless, people are preferring Ron DeSantis, even on the biggest Trump pages. That sends a huge message to Trump. And, That's good. That's a good thing. You know, most people are like, I'm over Trump. I appreciate what he did, but not really. And DeSantis seems like he goes harder. That doesn't mean you hate him. He needs to hear that because his leadership is not going to work. He's got to hear that. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm saying. Please don't misconstrue it. And you can if you want, I guess, but I'm not really going to back down. So God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Someone said this is actually very positive. It's always positive. I mean, people act like I'm so doom and gloomy. I'm not. I usually have a good time. I usually don't get this annoyed, but it's like the message is always positive and the results are always positive. It's just if you're going to sit and ask for the candy man and want just little softball, little candy store, oh man, we're fighting no, that's not going to work. It's just not. Hello, Teresa. All right. See you guys. Someone said Trump is still the man. For sure. He's a funny vaccine salesman. He's a great court jester who runs hundreds of millions of people in circles, so they never actually solve anything. I agree. He's definitely the man. All right. God bless you guys. Appreciate you, and I'll be back soon. Have a good weekend.